Very good. Thank you, Bob. Well, welcome today to Texas High School Athletic Directors Association Region 6 meeting. We're so glad everybody could join us today. And I believe this is being recorded. So if you are unable to stay on and get all the information, you can go back and view it at a later time if need be. Thank you again for all you're doing. I know this is very difficult for people to get time off to get on here, but we really do appreciate it. Thank you for taking time of sharing with everyone around us. I think as together as all, we make a better one. And that's the one thing that the ADs and the coaches in the state of Texas have been doing and have allowed our children to be able to play. So I just want to say again, thank you to everyone. Marty Criswell, I would like to ask him if he would leave a devotion for Region 6 today. He's from Palestine Isd, FCA, and Texas Coach Network. Anything else that you've added to your title, Marty?
I think 3 part-time jobs is enough, huh?
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Marty.
Say, Lynn, I just have to tip my hat to you. You are doing a fantastic job in leadership. We so appreciate this. You've been great. Thank you so much. You have a sweet spirit and you're so professional. You're just great at what you do. So awesome. And on behalf of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, if there's anything we can do to serve, you know, your athletic department, your coaching staff, your kids, we're eager to do so. I want to start off with the scripture, John 1:16. From the fullness of his grace, we have all received one blessing after another. And certainly that is us. You know, with Thanksgiving coming up, I know this has been a year unlike any other. And the challenges, I mean, it's not business as usual. And you guys have been amazing and fantastic, is what you've been doing. And, you know, I've got a friend that's a first-year athletic director, and it's like, you know, why me, why now? And my words are like what was said to Ruth in the Old Testament. You were put in this position for just such a time as this. You know, and so each one of us is exactly where we're supposed to be. God has placed us exactly where we're supposed to be. And it is a tremendous opportunity and a blessing to be able to serve our kids, our communities, and our coaches. So let's not take that for granted. We just appreciate everything that everybody's doing. So let's start with a word of prayer. Father, as we approach Thanksgiving, we are incredibly blessed. You have given us, each one of us, our health. We pray that you would continue to watch over us and our families. Pray with all of us as those that are traveling. We pray for safety and health for all our families as we gather, Lord, and help us to make good decisions regarding that. We continue to lift up our communities, Lord, that we would be spared from this deadly virus. We just give you thanks, Lord, in entrusting your people to us, and pray that you would help us to do our work in a way that would be most pleasing to you and give you all the glory and honor and praise. And it's in Jesus Christ, our Savior's name, that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Marty. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to hear you speak to us, and I appreciate you taking your time today. Those of you that have signed on out there in listening to us, if you would please go in the chat room and sign in where you're from, what school you're from. We would really appreciate that. So anyone that is online, please go into the chat room and sign on at this time. We have a couple of special guests. Dr. Susan Elza will be joining us here in probably the next 10 or 15 minutes. She'll be getting on and giving us an update from UIL. I don't believe Lee Grisham from TGCA has anything to say, but Lee, you want to say hello to everyone, please?
Good morning. Thanks for having us. Appreciate being here.
Thank you, Lee. Thanks for taking time for us as well. So we're going to go ahead and start with one of our state sponsors. I want to say thank you to all the state sponsors. Without you, it'd be very difficult to have this organization, have it as large and as productive and going places that we are and have been. So thank you again very much. We're going to start with Cemetery Turf, and that's going to be John Rouse. John, would you like to take this opportunity to speak to Region 6?
Absolutely. And coaches, I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. Very quickly, I retired in June of 2019 as superintendent at Emory Raines ISD, and very thankful that God directed my path in that fashion in light of all the challenges that have come forward. And Marty, thank you for your encouraging words. I couldn't be more proud of our profession. The challenges that have been met and continue to face us are incredible. And I'm just extremely thankful for all of you who are doing this for our kids and our community and our districts. You know, there was a time early in the summer that we were just hoping we'd get a couple of games in volleyball and football. And here we are looking into the playoffs at this time. So I think that's a tribute to the fortitude of our coaches and the Coaches Association of UIL and all those banding together, as Lynn stated earlier. So I am proud. I'm proud of what you do, and I'm grateful and appreciative of all that you do. After retiring, I went to work with Symmetry Sports Construction, and I couldn't be more proud. Godly people who have a mission, and it's to build to a higher standard. And that higher standard is serving the Lord and serving others. And it's a full service sports construction company based out of Mount Pleasant, Texas. We are the exclusive distributor for AstroTurf products in the state of Texas. We provide field maintenance services as well, football, baseball, baseball, softball, track, soccer. And then, as I said, all of the maintenance features that come with that to keep those fields looking good and, most importantly, safe for our kids. We know that AstroTurf is the worldwide leader in sports surfacing, and safety is number one. And I know that that is always at the top of your priority list as well. The Synthetic Turf Council awarded AstroTurf the Innovation of the Year with their Trionic fiber. And with that, the Root Zone product is incredibly safe and keeps your infill in place so that it continues to be a safe surface as well as durable and long lasting. It's a great partnership. We're happy to partner with you currently. We're working on 5 fields in Pflugerville ISD, tracks and some grass fields. We just completed Austin Westlake Softball. And so we're across the state. And so I'm going to kind of run through just a few pictures, if you'll allow me to share my screen and show you some of the fields that we've done that we're going to highlight here. So with that, hopefully you'll be able to see this screen. Let me know, Lynn, if when you're able to see it. Okay. As I said, we're a one-stop solution. If you have an issue, you call us. You're not going to be told to call someone else or someone else. We're going to take care of any issues that you have, and we'll do it very quickly because we want our customers to be happy. Here you see tomball, baseball, and softball, or baseball, and we're in the process of getting ready to do their stadium as well, their new stadium. So we're really proud of it. This is the Westlake Softball I was telling you about. This actually has a rock pad and rock fill as the infill, and rock fill is the cooling infill, 30 to 40 degrees cooler than the crumb rubber, which is pretty big for us here in Texas. This is Viter as it's being done down south. This is one of my favorite pictures. We finished Melissa, the moon background, and then also in Texas Coach magazine that comes out, we have another picture that's very similar to this. So be sure and check out that. I think it's on page 64 this month. But if you haven't looked at the electronic Texas Coach this year, please do so. But it's a beautiful field, and again, that's the AstroTurf Trionic fiber and Root Zone with the rock fill. Next, we have Palestine ISD, beautiful field in East Texas. Most of you probably know where Melissa is, up in kind of north central Texas. Parish Episcopal, we just have to show this one because it's so unique. It's in Dallas. It's in the flight path of Dallas Love Field, and we'll have people contact us from time to time saying, hey, I saw your field as we were flying into Love Field. So it's just kind of a cool field and very unique. And we're really proud of it. This one we finished this summer in Nederland, down by the coast. A beautiful field with the again Brockfield, the cooling agent. We're seeing more and more of that. And Corpus Christi ISD, and you see some of the different designs that people have. Here you have a green end zone with alternating panels every 5 yards. There. Here you see a alternating panel every 10 yards. So there's just so many different ways to design your field, and we're happy to do that. This one we're really proud of. We finished this year. This is at Ennis, #1 in the state right now, and they have a solid field, more traditional field. So we're really proud of it as well. And Coach Harold's doing a great job and having a great year. Brazos Christian. We finished late spring, I believe, and we're really proud of it as well. And again, you see the alternating every 5 panels. This is Prosper up near the Dallas area, just north of Dallas. Baseball, softball, football, and track, as well as their indoor facility. We did all of those. Beautiful, beautiful facility at their new high school. We're really proud to be partners with them. And then this is one of my favorites as well. This is Bullard in East Texas. Again, a more traditional field, but the colors are so vibrant and it just pops. So we're really proud to partner with Bullard. So with that, I just want to leave you with our gratitude on behalf of Symmetry Sports Construction and AstroTurf. And thank you for what you do. And I know that you will be up to meet whatever challenges come from this point forward. So thank you very much, and God bless everyone.
Don, thank you so much for that presentation. You've got some fine looking fields out there. I know that you're very proud. I don't see Susan on yet, so we'll move on to Human X Ventures with Brad Black. Brad, would you like to? Brad's on.
I don't see Brad. I've texted him,
Okay.
so maybe he'll join us later.
Okay, then let's move on to Ace Sports with Don Massey. I know Don's here.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for.
Don, hold on just a minute. I just saw Brian Pope come on. Brian, are you going to take Susan's spot?
She just texted me and said she was logging on as well, so she ought to be on here any second now.
Okay, Don, can we go ahead and let UIL make their presentation, then we'll come back to you. Is that all right? Very good, thank you. All right, Brian, I'll let you go ahead and get started if you'd like.
Yeah, and I was just going to get on and cover the track stuff that we sent out in case there's any questions concerning track. I know Susan had a list that she was going to cover. I don't know what that was going to be, and just answer any track questions y'all may have and kind of roll through that right quick. As y'all know, first off, we didn't send out anything. This is a big question we've had, the junior high track. Junior high is going to follow those high school regulations, and we have that. We have a junior high calendar on the junior high page that has all of our sports on there and anything that we have updated, and all of the junior high information is on that calendar. We just didn't send it with that email, but we've had that question quite a bit. But the junior high is going to be just like the high school, to where on an invitational meet, you can have no more than 8 total schools involved, and 1 level of competition on site at a time. And that level includes boys and girls. That's another question. So if you have 8 schools coming to a high school meet, and that includes boys and girls from those 8 schools. And if you, for some reason, you want to have a meet that includes JV and varsity, then you have to cut that down to 4 total schools. So it really comes down to total schools than it does anything else. And then, of course, there's the district meet information in there that's concerning that if you're in a district that has more than 5 schools, you can only have 1 level of competitors at your district meet. So you would have to have a separate JV district meet. And if you have 5 or less schools in your district, then you can have the JV and the varsity there for 1 meet. So I know I ran through that pretty quick, but y'all may have some specific questions concerning track. Anybody have any of those offhand?
Brian, I've got one for you. Yeah, so basically the rule of 8. If you've got 4 divisions for a junior high meet, like most people will, 7th grade girls, 7 boys, 8 girls, 8 boys, obviously, is that meaning basically you've got a dual track meet now for junior high?
You can take 4. So that would be 2 divisions. So 8th grade and junior high is like 1 division. So
Okay,
8th
gotcha.
grade boys and girls, you could have 8 schools. But if
Sure.
you wanted to have 7th and 8th grade there together, you could only have 4 schools.
Makes sense.
Dr. Elza has joined us.
Yeah, I came on.
She's Lynn Poole today. But
I wanted to be you. I mean,
well, I'm going to let you be me. You can be me anytime you want to be.
I have to tell you, folk is going to laugh because we had a meeting. I had technical difficulties. We had this meeting. I had technical difficulties. I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing today.
Well, I had technical difficulties because Bob sent me a link that was only supposed to be for me, and I sent it out to everyone. So we got a lot of Lynn Pools running around.
That's cool. I couldn't figure out how to make Bob's link work, so I used yours.
Good.
We're good. We're in the same company here. So Brian, did you already cover all the track stuff?
I just did the track. I don't know if there's any other questions. We had one question. If there's any other questions, I can cover that. If not, you can roll.
Yeah, and I don't really have very much. I know the track coming out fresh this week, and Brian has adjusted some things. We can't address every question the first time we put something out, so that's why I wanted him to make sure he covered that. I think y'all have your answers on the softball, baseball, and soccer. I think if you don't, we're here to answer those questions, but a site is a field, okay? So if you have a complex, a softball, baseball complex that has multiple fields, that each field is a site. And y'all have been through this. You've adapted to all the protocols. The idea is to not have kids congregating together. So it's sanitizing those dugouts between use, all that good stuff. Again, we've all had to be very resilient throughout this, and we've all had to adapt to these protocols, and we all understand the purpose of the protocols is safety. And I don't think we've got to have too much explanation with that, but if y'all do have any questions, we'll take them at the end. The only other thing we've got coming is we've got a couple things. We're working on the spring tennis format. We were able to, we had our state championships yesterday. Congratulations, Coach Wyrick. He brought home a gold trophy. He was the first championship that we have had in a pandemic, and his team showed up hardly. I just was so impressed with his head coach. His head coaches won one before, but just the way he coached his kids, and he had great control over them. And what I mean by that, their discipline was obvious by him. I don't know. Guys, we haven't been to events because, it's obviously if we go, there's 2 things that happen. People think we're policing them. And the other thing is that, it makes people a little bit paranoid. And the other thing is, we don't want to take up room. So for us, it was a great event at state tennis yesterday. Joseph Garman and Crystal Victorina, our event coordinator that put that on, was outstanding. And we're looking forward to state volleyball that's coming up this Saturday for 1 through 4A. And I know Brandy Belk and Hannah Higgins, they're just really busy trying to get your district certified. We had a couple that needed extensions till Wednesdays for 5A and 6A volleyball. But everything's rolling, really pretty well. The spring tennis stuff will be coming out. Hopefully, if we don't get it out this week, I'm going to wait until after Thanksgiving. I don't want it to get lost in the mix. And then the number one question that we're also getting is what the heck is going to happen to wrestling? And AJ has been working feverishly on that. We know of one state that is wrestling right now, and it's Georgia. And but they're having some challenges with that. We're not looking to scrap the season, but we may need to end up pushing it back a little bit more. Y'all know the more we push it back, the more condensed it's going to be, which means the more that we're going to have to reduce qualifiers. So hang with us. We would like to have something announced on some adjusted dates in the month of December, but we may not be ready by then. And we don't want to make announcements that we end up having to change later. Football for 1 through 4A, we're in the second round of the playoffs. I think that's gone well. Polk, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the very first round, I think these are just things that y'all would maybe want to know. This happened in volleyball, this happened in team tennis, but the teams that can't play due to COVID, they become a bye in the bracket. In the first week of football from 1 through 4A, we had 15 teams that couldn't play due to COVID. Well, out of, what is it, Polk, 200 and how many games did we have that first week? 240?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it was 94, almost 94% played.
Yeah, 94% of our teams played in the bi-district round of the 1 through 4A playoffs. And, you know, all throughout, Brandy had some cancellations. We did not have any in the finals, in the state semifinal round. And I don't believe we had any in the state, the regional final round. So I think everybody knows this. I'm going to cover it again. If a team, if you have a team before district certification that cannot play in the postseason due to COVID, then you can modify your district certification with the approval of your DEC. Okay. If it's after district certification, that team that cannot play will not be replaced by a 5th place team. It will be a bye in the bracket. Okay. Because it's too much apple cart turnover. It's a domino effect that affects other teams if you start trying to shuffle them around. So teams that cannot play, 2 teams play, 1 advances. Okay. They win. And all of a sudden they get COVID. The team that lost is not going to advance. Okay. The only game that will not end on a bye, if you will, I mean, people like calling them forfeits. We don't, for obvious reasons, is the state final game. If the 2 teams match up and one of the teams ends up with an issue with COVID, they have 4 weeks to finish their state championship. The 2 teams will get together. They'll negotiate a site. We'll give them the trophies and medals. We'll try to participate if we can, but we're not going to end a state championship on a bye or a forfeit or whatever everybody wants to call it. Okay. So y'all are, you know, most of y'all on here are 5A, 6A folks. That's what you're about to proceed into. It was that way for team tennis, if you didn't know, but just in case, you know, some of y'all didn't pay much attention to those postseason things with them. Other than that, you know, I do it every time. I'm proud of our staff. I'm proud, you know, Dr. Braddock and Dr. Harrison have been very strong leaders for us. And, you know, it's not all, you know, cotton candy and candy canes and UIL. It's not. We don't always agree on things, but when it comes right down to it, when we move forward with something, we're in agreement at that point. And they've been great. They've been steadfast. But I'm going to tell you who's been really great and really steadfast is Brian Polk, Brandy Belk, AJ Martinez, Joseph Garman, all of our athletic staff. I don't know that we've ever received this volume of calls, and I appreciate y'all's patience with us, as sometimes it does take a little bit to call you back, but I think we do a good job. We don't call every parent back. Do y'all blame us? I mean, my gosh, those parents are some mad folks, let me just tell you. But we don't. And I just, you know, I just seeing people like Dwayne yesterday and the coaches and all that they've been through this season, it kind of just, it tells you how important our profession is. It tells you how important we are working together. It tells you what value you have for kids. And, you know, just keep doing it. We've still got a lot of year in front of us, and we still got a lot of challenges with basketball. I know I talked to THSBOA the other day, and they were telling me when they look at their scheduler, you know, across the state, it's just solid red, and red means that games were canceled. Guys, if y'all need us, I don't think you do, because you've all been so adaptive to everything, but if you need us or you need to bounce something off of us, let us know. These preseason games are a little easier, but when you get into district, I think y'all have gone through the complexity of volleyball and football and trying to certify districts. But lean on us, because if we can help, we do talk to a lot of people across the state and sometimes can bring some value to a conversation. Other than that, I can't think of anything else. Brian, can you? I mean, we've got volleyball for Saturday, 1 through 4A, and then Polk's got cross country. You want to talk about that, Polk?
Yeah, and I wanted to add, I didn't talk about postseason for track and field, and y'all know when we sent out that email, we did not really include anything but dates as far as area and regional and state for track and field. And just knowing we are still looking at that postseason structure, and there could be some changes for that piece. We wanted to make sure we got out the the invitational meet as quickly as possible, because we know those coaches are scheduling those meets and they know the parameters set around that. But we're now working through the amount of kids and schools and numbers that go to area, regionals, and state. So we'll have some more language coming about that. And I don't know that any of those dates will change, but just know everything's on the table. I mean, once we start looking at numbers, if we've got to adjust dates and add some time in there, we may have to end up doing that. We just don't know that quite yet, but we'll send out that postseason structure once we have it. And then cross country, we moved to a 2-day meet, of course. 1A, 3A, and 5A are running on Monday, and 2A, 4A, and 6A are running on Tuesday, which is pretty much the way the majority of our, if not all of our regional sites set theirs up. So we're going to have some dead time in there. Hopefully, like on Monday when 1A runs, we get the boys and girls race through, get the awards done, and then all of those competitors and spectators are gone before the 3A folks come in, so that we can limit the amount of folks that are on site at a time. So we're looking forward to that. I think it's going to be great. All the regional sites ran really, really well from what we've heard. So looking forward to that as well.
I think that's pretty much, I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but I could be, because I couldn't even log on earlier, and I'm Lynn Poole today. So
That's right. Lynn forgets a lot too.
what did we leave out, y'all?
Well, I'm going to ask if there's any questions from the group that I have here on the screen. Anybody have any questions?
No.
First, I want to say thank you to UIL for giving us the platform to be able to put our kids out there to compete. Y'all have done I don't know how you've done it. I think that we shine above all states. So I want to thank you for all of that. I know there's parts of our state that are unable to compete at this time. We have a big state, and what you have done is made it where people who can compete to have that opportunity to go ahead and do so. I guess I just want to ask this because it's a kind of an elephant in the room. Numbers are going up, stages are changing. I know we're in a particular one here in Travis County, and things could happen at any moment. But as far as the entire state, do you see us being able to, well, it's kind of hard to ask this question, but I guess my question is it the governor that would shut us down completely?
Yes, and I mean, hypotheticals are so hard. You know, we can tell you kind of what our feel is, but our feel could be wrong. Just so you know that. I think that it's not going to probably be a total state shutdown, but I do think we're gonna have some of the areas with the high dense areas where their county judges or whoever, their local health authorities may get involved and make those recommendations. And I think it puts our superintendents in a hard position. I know El Paso's dealing with that right now. They've got really strong recommendations to shut it down, and their school superintendents have sustained there. They're like, no, we want to continue to have activities. There's some out there that said, you know, we're going to go ahead and shut it down, and it depends on the sport, on the contact on the sport. So long answer to say, I don't know that we could definitively say that it will or won't happen. I think that we're all wise enough to know that Halloween had its effect, okay? And we all could predict that Thanksgiving could have its effect, and Christmas and New Year's Eve could have its effect. And, you know, the good thing is we know how to deal with it protocol-wise, but the bad thing is we don't know, you know, is it just gonna continue to increase and increase and increase and get to a point where, you know, there's not enough competing again. And only time will tell that, and we'll navigate it as best we can.
Y'all always have, and you've navigated it with class, and we appreciate that, and we appreciate everything that you've done, giving our kids a chance. So thank you to everyone in UIL, from the bottom to the complete top. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for everything.
Well, thank y'all for having
your time.
Yeah, thank y'all for having us, and good luck on these. You know, you're finishing up volleyball. Many of y'all are going into the postseason. Football's just around the corner, December 5th for the 5A 6A certification, and basketball, man, it's gonna be a little wild. And I'm gonna tell y'all, swimming and diving, I do want to tell you this. We have some potential that our venue may change for our state championship. Some of the universities in this state for our regionals and for anything that state held at the state level are very apprehensive to have people that are not a part of their university on their campuses. So just understand there's going to still be quite a few changes, and we'll communicate those as quickly to y'all as we can. But as of right now, just continue with your seasons and wait to hear from us. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Great
Happy
job.
Thanksgiving. See y'all soon.
Have a good turkey day.
All righty.
Thank you, UIL. What great people they are to allow us to be able to do what we love so much. I'm Connie Don from ACE Sports. I'm sorry I interrupted you to start, but we are ready for you to give us what information that you have. And again, thank you so much for being a state sponsor and allowing us to be able to have these webinars.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks to our UIL folks for helping keeping this going. You know, as a former coach and administrator, I know how important this time is for our kids. My daughters are out there competing in sports right now, and they come home every day saying, Dad, I hope we just get to go to practice tomorrow. And so it's important. Everything that you're doing in the late hours is vital to these kids and their morale, and us as parents too. I mean, we want them out there competing too. It's less time in the house for us, but we appreciate you guys. A lot of familiar faces out there. Some of you I've met with, some of you I know from previous position with a turf company local. Had the opportunity to go to ACE Sports over the summer, which not very many people change positions in the middle of a pandemic, but I believed in what they were doing, and just like to share a little bit about. I'm going to try to share this screen, Lynn, for all of you out there that are named Lynn. We'll see what happens here.
We're good. You're good.
It's out there. Good. Okay. Yes, so again, my contact information is on there. Just tell you a little bit about ACE. We are a video board company that does jumbotrons. Unique to us, we will go out and raise the money for you. I had a school call me the other day. Our bond failed, and we don't know what we're going to do now. Fortunately, we put together a marketing package. We go out there into the community. We put that together for you guys, and then in turn give you 100% of that back. Did some work recently. I see Coach Barrett out there at Salado. We did some work for them. We do scoreboards as well as video boards. You know, hopefully Coach Barrett be a reference for us out there. I think we did him well out there, but you could always reach out to him. I'll just kind of click through a few of these pictures of some of the stadiums that we've done here. You see Dumas High School up there, and the Tom Landry Stadium up in Addison. A couple of those others, the Rogers screen over there. The picture doesn't really do that justice, but that's 60 feet wide. So it's pretty good size. West Orange Stark. Here's a great cube inside of Abilene Christian. A couple of other boards that we do in the basketball and volleyball arenas. And so there's Texas Southern. Probably my favorite part about what ACE does is we have a media curriculum. You know, as athletic directors and administrators, when you're trying to sell something like a video board for your athletic department, sometimes that's a tough sell out there because it's just for athletics, and we have recognized that. And so we come in and train your students and your faculty and staff on how to be a media production group. We provide all the curriculum. We come in and do all the teaching, and then we can be there on a Friday night to help them get through a couple of games. But it provides the student body some ownership into that. And then something that we've recently added into the curriculum portion of what we do is an entrepreneurial class. Like I mentioned before, we provide all the marketing materials. ACE has been around since 1940. It started as a sign company and a billboard company. So advertisement is what they did and what established them. And so we have the ability to go out and meet. We have a little over, I think 300 now sponsors, corporate sponsors out there that we have relationships with in the Central Texas area. We put that together, and then in most cases, these boards pay for themselves within the first 2 years, just through revenue stream. And then of course that continues to be a revenue stream for your athletic department in your school. Again, we raise that money for you guys on your behalf. I'm the one that spends a lot of time out there doing that and enjoy that part of it. Met with some of you guys. I'd love to have an opportunity to come by and visit. I think that what we put out there, and having now an office here in Austin, Cedar Park, we are able to service this area well. We have 7 install crews now in the Central Texas area. And, what I would say to you is that when I was an athletic director and we were getting ready to put in a video board, I went out there and I did my research. And, I'm proud to tell you, you don't have to spend $500,000 to put in a nice video board in your stadium. And you certainly don't have to pay for all that out of your pocket. So again, just appreciate an opportunity to come by and visit with you. I have met with some of you, and I will be reaching out to the rest of you here shortly. But my contact information is in the chat room. I'll post that up there again. Again, Lynn, everybody, thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you for what you're doing. We're here to support you in any way we can. Thank you, guys.
Lynn, you're muted.
Hi, everybody. Here I am again. Let's try the mute button. Sorry about that. Don, I was going to say, thank you for everything, for your presentation, and be kind to the animals. The little guy that's looking over your shoulder back there. All right. I appreciate that. Is Brad Black, was he able to come on the air?
I don't see Brad, and I've texted him but no response. So let's continue. And if he pops on, we'll catch up with him later on.
Okay, very good. Again, thank you to all of our state sponsors. You make a world of difference in our worlds as well. So thank you very much. We're going to move on to our committee reports. I'm going to let Jody Harmon start in the awards. Jody, she was on here. Did she have to leave?
No,
there she is. She's here. Okay.
I'm here. Okay, so for awards, our current 3 Hall of Honor recipients those awards and celebrations are going to roll into the June state conference that I think we're hoping is in person. All of the other awards, Joe Bill Fox, our regional ADs of the year, NIAAA and NFHS awards are going to be presented at the spring sponsor showcase, which I think is going to be a new professional development opportunity for us all. So the 3 Hall of Honor recipients are rolling into June state conference in person, and all the rest will be honored during the spring showcase.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you very much for that. Dwayne, you want to talk a little bit about policy?
Sure. Yeah, just to mention a couple of things that came out of the October Legislative Council. One of those being a discussion related to the COVID pandemic being declared a public disaster by the state of Texas. And what that really means for us is that games postponed due to COVID can be rescheduled and played as exceptions to the school limit rule. So in other words, instead of just playing on a Tuesday and a Friday as an example, you may be able to play a Monday and a Tuesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, if both schools can agree upon a site and time. So there can be exceptions to that school limit rule. Of course, that would not apply to football, as it has its own rule, the 5-day rule. But for your other sports, keeping that in mind, also a reemphasis on the 50% limit on capacity. Again, with appropriate spacing, those things are all determined locally in terms of what is 50% and what is proper spacing. Now, in the sport of football, if the visiting team requests 50% of the stadium, the seating and or the ticketing, they are entitled to such. And then also you must keep in mind that if you're going to allow home fans at an event, you also must allow visiting fans. You can't simply limit your attendance to home fans only. So again, those were kind of some points of emphasis that came out of the Legislative Council.
Excellent. Thank you, Dwayne. Any questions for Dwayne on that? Brad Shelton, would you like to go next on TAC?
Yes, ma'am. Just a reminder, the virtual conference is December 7th through the 10th. The agenda is posted on the association's website. If you want to look at that, it's a pretty robust agenda. I think they've done a good job putting that together. If you registered for the in-person conference, that will be just switched over to the virtual conference automatically. If you registered for the golf tournament, that should be refunded to you. Trying to think what else. The Hall of Honor tickets. They are asking if you did buy tickets to Hall of Honor, just contribute that, because that money goes to the association scholarship fund for kids. So that those are the big things. June conference, hopefully be in person. Those are the big ones.
Does anybody have any questions on TAC that Brad might be able to answer for us? All right, thanks, Brad. Appreciate that. Denise, on NIAAA and anything of medical advisory committee from UIL, that you have any of that to share with us?
Just with conference that it's coming up in December, the 7th through the 14th, it is virtual. So just make sure that you register if you haven't already. The last day to be able to register to actually mail in a payment is 2 days from now on the 20th. But they are accepting online credit card payments all the way through the 4th. But if you want to mail in a payment, the last day to register is on the 20th in 2 days. But it is virtual, so anyone can attend. So they're really encouraging more people to register and actually attend this year since it is virtual. But that's it for NIAAA.
Thank you, Denise. The athletic committee with Leo Anderson and Todd Raymond. Gentlemen, would y'all like to report?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Lynn. So just the biggest things, I guess, probably on everyone's plate is just continued collaboration and communication with everyone. I know we collaborate with, for example, our DEC to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to finish out the season, and then also how we roll into the new season with the sports coming on board, for example, like basketball and so forth. And so just collaborating there, and then you have new coaches that are coming on board with their seasons in basketball and things like that. And so the communication piece is important there as you get them up to speed as to what they should be doing inside their gyms, seating capacity, wearing masks, and so forth, and then getting those parents involved, the communication to them as well. So there's been a lot more of that. There's been as much as we've probably ever had with our surrounding schools that we play against, in our districts, which is good. I think that is a good thing. But then also just, sharing that information with everyone as current seasons are going on, and then also as future sports are starting up. So just keep that up, everybody.
Thanks, Leo. Todd?
Yeah, just update from Legislative Council that the pilot program for water polo, just everybody, I'm sure everybody's aware, has been kind of put on pause for a little bit. Just give us some time to get that figured out for next year. And then Susan and Brian kind of referred to everything that's been coming out with the baseball, softball, soccer, and track updates. They kind of beat me to the punch there, but yeah, I mean, everything that came out with that, with baseball, softball, and soccer, just can't have more than four teams on site. So I know here in Pflugerville, we host a big Pflugerville lot. We've always hosted a big baseball tournament, and so they're still working on that, and basically going to have a pool at each site that day, with just the 4 schools, and figuring out basically if school's going to show up, they're going to play their 2 games in a row, and then they're going to go. So basically, we'd only ever have 3 teams on site at once. So those are the basic ones, and obviously it's forever changing, and we've always got to just continue to be open and understand this we have to pivot at any moment. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you for that information. I appreciate that. I know Brad's got to go to a meeting. Go ahead, Brad. I appreciate that. And Bob, you're back with us. I'm going to go with officials, and then if you want to pick up the other committee members that couldn't be here on that. So Jonathan and Derek, if you'll speak to us a little bit on the officials committee. Is Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am. So the last state executive committee meeting, they voted to not recommend giving the officials the $5 increase for the 2021 year. Also supported eliminating the last mileage range for portal-to-portal reimbursement. Also, they kind of requested to get a plan together for a schedule for official increases. And, especially now that THSADA kind of understands the school budgeting process, and they don't think the next increase will be till 2023.
Excellent. Derek, you have anything to add to that? Did Derek have to leave?
Derek had to step out. We have a DEC vote, and so he's going to represent us.
I got that. I think Jonathan pretty well covered everything. Thank you so much. All right. Do you want to, Bob, go ahead with the state business, and then we'll do our panel discussion that we have. And we did not have Tawny Angel was unable to be here for membership, and then Dina for publications. Boisier was unable to be here.
Why don't you go ahead and let your panel do theirs, the way the people who can stay will hear that, and I'll close at the end.
Okay, very good, very good. I sent out questions to everyone. I hope that you were able to get them. Not very many of them, but I think that they were ones that would be very beneficial to everyone that is on the meeting today. The first question, our title today is What's Next and What's Changed? And so our first question, as we begin football and volleyball playoffs and finish up with team tennis and cross country championships, the next round of sports is basketball, soccer, swimming and diving, and wrestling are getting started. What changes have you made, if any, for the next COVID groups of sports? So that's our first question that I have there. And Janice, I'm going to open it up to you first.
Sure. So we've learned quite a bit with volleyball. I think our team was one of the first to be put out because of COVID. We had 3 kids positive, and with the contact tracing, we didn't have a varsity left. So originally it looked like we were going to have to forfeit 4 games. And then as a DEC, we got together and decided that wasn't good for kids. And so with the addition of the changes that TEA and UIL allowed, we've been able to make all those up. And our volleyball team's now in the playoffs, where if we'd gone with the original, we would have been out. So I think we've learned to be a little kinder, gentler. Football was a little tougher because of the 5 days. And so a couple of the teams had to have no contest or whatever that is. But that's what we're dealing with right now in the DEC meeting, is changing the basketball stance on COVID to allow them to save Wednesdays and Saturdays and have the varsity teams only actually participate if you're put out for COVID. COVID's been a tough one here. I'm sure it has been everywhere.
Well, I think when you're in a college town like you are, that probably has something to do with it as well. So yeah, we found the same situation here in our area. Thank you, Janice from Bryan ISD, for sharing that with us. Paul's kind of new to our committee here, our webinar. I brought him in from Salado. We have a lot of 5As and 6As, and I wanted to bring in a different classification, and he's been having a lot of success. So Paul, can you answer that question a little bit, expound on it for us?
Sure. So crazy times for sure, but somehow we've managed to stay healthy for the most part. We've got, volleyball advanced to the area around, got knocked out there. Football is still going. Both cross country teams are running next week at the state meet. And, a lot of the changes that our deck's done or put in place, I guess, is, for the most part, basketball, we're going to go to one gym. We're playing all 3 levels of games in one gym. We're split siting it. Whereas our freshman team, when they finish up, all those fans and players are basically gone, and we will roll with the JV and then follow up with the varsity after that. So that's obviously been a huge change for us. We've always been a dual site, play all 6 games on one site. So that's a big change for us. But I think, these smaller communities, we do have an advantage in that I've got a relationship with 90% of the folks here in town. And so what we've done, and sorry to age you, Coach Wyrick, he coached me in high school. And so sorry to age you a little bit here, man. But I think it's important, that staff at Round Rock High School, when I was there, was very good about teaching us how to deal with adversity and how to stay positive through anything you encounter in life. And sure enough, I draw on those same lessons, from time to time. And so what we've done in our small community, to that note, is really try to build a team concept, even with our parents, that I stood last night in front of, our basketball crowd and said, look, this game's a lot bigger than any one of us in this gym. And we're a community, we're a town, but we're all on the same team. And so it's trying to teach these parents the team aspect as well, and to listen to these guidelines and abide by them, or else, we're not going to have the enjoyment of letting these kids participate and getting to watch them do the same thing. So, and do what they love. So I think the small towns do have that. It's a unique, advantage maybe we have. that the bigger schools, it's a little bit more difficult to do. You know, a lot of the folks that come into your gyms and on your fields, you don't know them. Like I know these folks, they live right here in town. I can walk up, have a conversation with them and explain why we have to do the things we're having to do. So that's been unique. But I do feel like it's been a positive experience. If nothing else, it's kind of brought our community a little bit closer together because they realize what we stand to lose if it all goes away. So.
Sorry, there's a lot of noise going on around me. We've got construction and all kinds of stuff going on. So I appreciate that, Paul. Communication, I think, is a huge piece. And I think for most of us, our coaches have done a really good job of making the kids understand it. But beyond that, it's been very, very difficult making the home life and the parents and those outside of athletics understand it. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, Paul. Lil, would you like to share a little bit on this question?
Yeah, sure, Lynn. And yeah, it is a little loud, so hopefully you guys can hear okay. But yeah, just as you were saying, and as Paul was saying, and as I just alluded to a little bit earlier, the communication piece is just so huge right now because you have, you know, we've been going for a little while now, right? And the sports have been going, you know, football and volleyball and cross country and tennis and so forth. But now you have other sports starting up like basketball. And so, you know, what we've done is we've kind of sent out some updates, right? Even though we sent out a lot of information, you know, a month or 2 months ago, you know, and we just bombarded them with it. Well, now we're sending additional updates out to our coaches and having meetings and having discussions about what the new coaches that haven't necessarily been in season as they come on, getting them up to speed on all of the protocols. Cause it's a lot, guys. There's just a lot of protocols and things that you got to do and follow. And it's, you know, it's really strict on everything. And so we've just, you know, tried to communicate that to our coaches and let them know. And some of them still have questions. So we encourage them to call us and visit with us and talk to us about it. You know, and just the waivers and things that you got to have signed in order to play. But our goal is still the same. And we've talked about this all the way back in the summertime when we were trying to get going. Our goal is to give our kids an opportunity to participate and play. And we want to give them that opportunity and do it as safely as we possibly can. And so our goal has remained the same throughout this entire pandemic process. But communicating that to the families that are having their kids participate is also important, and they have questions as well. And things change, right? The moment you have a plan, you know, that plan may be out the door the very next day. And so you've got to communicate that as well. And so it's just a piece, you know, that you've got to continue to do, continue to update people as things change and hope that we can go as long as we possibly can, despite the spike in cases that we're seeing as they go up.
Thank you, Lil. I appreciate that. Jody, would you like to speak a little bit on the subject?
I just reiterate what everybody else has talked about. I think going back through those handbooks right now is probably where our focus is right now, getting ready for basketball and baseball and softball and soccer and getting them to think through some of the things we've learned during football and volleyball now and not at the end of the season when everybody is trying to figure out what works best for them. And so now we're working with our 5A districts and our 6A districts with Jason and Dwayne and trying to get our coaches to go back in and look at that. And, you know, it's not going to be perfect. We could still have to make changes down the road, but I think we did learn some things from volleyball and football and how to word things in those handbooks and just getting those in the best shape we can moving forward for right now.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you for that. Andy from Bastrop, you want to give us a little bit of information from you?
Yeah, just to echo what everybody else is saying. One thing that we didn't do in the past with football and volleyball that we're going to start doing. It seems like to me our coaches are spending all weekend in contact tracing. I mean, they're having to do all, and so I told our basketball coaches that we're going to have assigned seating on buses and keep that same seating chart every trip and every meeting, make the kids sit in the same spot just to help with that part of their day. Because when you get a contact trace, it takes a long time. Every weekend, I see my football coaches, that's all they're doing is contact tracing. So just trying to put some things we learned from the fall sports into basketball and soccer as far as, because it's not going away, right? It's getting worse. And just trying to make sure our coaches can, when they get that phone call where a kid's positive or a kid, you know, be able to contact trace easier and quicker and be more accurate.
Thanks, Andy. Jason from Georgetown, you want to talk a little bit about any changes that you might have made for the next group of sports coming in?
Sure. One little tidbit that may help some folks. We kind of, again, just learned from football and volleyball, but one thing we're going into basketball season with that we didn't start until toward the end of volleyball is we're going to allow our kids, their parents to take them to a game. Before we'd always allow, parents to check kids out after the game, and take them home, which I'm sure most of you do. But we've decided to actually come up with a form and a process for allowing parents to take kids to a game, just to help on the whole contact tracing side of, being on the bus. It's difficult, on a big, huge bus. You can really only get about 11 kids on a bus, making sure they're all 6 feet apart. So, our coaches came to us and had a pretty good plan, and we've kind of implemented that. Going into basketball season is something I'm hoping is going to help us a little bit.
I think one of the things that we've been very limited, but we've been able to move our numbers up a little bit in Austin, where we only had 20 people we could get in a gym. So it was really hard when the visiting teams came with their kids and they couldn't get in the gym. But we've changed that some now through basketball. Dwayne, you want to add anything to any changes that y'all might have made in Round Rock?
Yeah, really the only thing I can add, and everything else would be pretty much an echo of what everyone else has said, is that we're still not allowing overnight stays. So for the sports coming up that are going to participate in tournaments, we're going to be participating in tournaments that are close enough to drive back and forth. In the past, we might have had teams up in the Dallas area, things like that, certain sports, Bryan College Station area. But from now on, we're just going to be a lot more local than we've ever been.
Great. Todd from Pflugerville?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's pretty much said the same stuff. We've done the same thing that Dwayne just said. We've put in place that the only overnight travel we'll have is something that's absolutely required for, like, if that's a UIL post district, you know what I mean? And, we had regional cross country in Huntsville, you know what I mean? If we ran at noon, so our coaches felt like they could get up and drive the kids there and come back. If we would have ran the 9 o'clock race, we would have let them spend the night, but pretty much the same thing. The biggest thing that we're going through right now is all of our campuses have been putting on events, for the entire fall. Well, some of our basketball coaches aren't football coaches or they're not involved in anything. They've just been coaching basketball all fall. And so when it comes to the event part of it, like the game and all the different protocols and everything that we have to do just for the game, for the setup, for the actual event, I've had to really talk to my campus coordinators about giving those coaches some grace, and that they're at right now kind of where we were 4 months ago when we started hosting volleyball and football games, so there's a lot of little ins and outs of stuff that they don't know. And so, we've really taken a lot of time to sit down with those basketball coaches and through, if they're unfamiliar, if they haven't been involved in volleyball or football and they're kind of unfamiliar with what's been going on. And so it's been a little bit of a learning curve for our campuses, had to kind of take a step back. And the main thing that we've learned this whole year is that no matter what we do, and I've talked to a bunch of y'all in here, I talk to y'all all the time, no matter what we do, man, every decision we make, we're going to upset a pretty decent amount of the population. I mean, there's people that are going to be mad with every decision that we make, no matter how we make it. We just got to run with what we think is in the best interest of kids and go with it and stick to it. And being in Travis County's an interesting situation, Leo, Lynn, y'all know that, and it just makes it a little bit different, makes it a little bit tougher.
It does, which is a perfect lead into my next question, Todd. We are all watching an uptick in the COVID cases across the area. Do you anticipate any actions from your district, your school, or county in the possibility of a shutdown due to risk in COVID cases? And Todd, since you were the last one, I'll let you be first this time.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, the big thing for us is just Travis County, you know what I mean? And it's the local health authority, and every time he has a meeting, I get nervous. Every time he meets with our superintendents, I get nervous. And so right now, I'm hearing from my superintendent that he's kind of hinted at stuff, but we're still doing okay. You know what I mean? But obviously he's waiting to see what comes off of Thanksgiving and Christmas and that kind of stuff. So I would not put it, I mean, we're going to do everything. We're going to fight our tails off here in Pflugerville to make sure we can still continue to play. If that means we got to limit capacity more or just go with streaming or whatever we got to do, we're going to do it. But yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if at some point if Travis County comes back and limits us more than we are even already are. It's just the nature of the world we live in right now with where we live.
So thank you, Todd. I'm going to let Lil and Dwayne and Jody kind of talk to those because y'all have schools that are in Travis County, areas that we've experienced this before. So Dwayne, you want to talk a little bit on that one?
Yeah, what I say is, your question said, do you anticipate any actions in terms of a shutdown? Well, I can tell you, we just are in the middle of now of experiencing one. So we did just close a high school down. It's in Williamson County, but due to the number of cases on campus and in the locations in which those cases are.
You're freezing up a little bit on us there.
We did just the recommendation of the local health authorities, close down Stony Point. So, yeah, it can happen. The fallout of that is, be forfeiting or having no contests, however you want to say it, in football for sure. So there's definitely a negative fallout, and it is real. It can happen. Yeah.
Lil?
Yeah, thank you, Lynn, again. So do we anticipate it? We do recognize that there's a real possibility that it could happen, right? And so we've seen it happen in the summertime a few times, and we're able to start back up. And so, yes, there is, that concern that it could happen. I know there's just that fine line of trying to keep everyone safe and trying to allow our kids to play. And especially when you have basketball that's indoors and in close contact, it's really hard to do that. So we can only control what we can control, right? So in terms of how we do our protocols and the implementation of the things that we do, that's what we can control. And that's what we're going to continue to do. Now, the decision, if it does come that we have to shut down, we have we obviously won't have any input in that. And so we cannot control that piece of it. So really, we're just hoping and praying that we can go as long as we can. But at the same time, we know we can't control that piece of it. We can just do our part to wear a mask, to sanitize the distance as much as possible, go through all the protocols, and so that's what we're going to really focus on. The other stuff outside of that, we can't control it. And so let's just do our part, to do what we can to make our kids as safe as possible and our coaches as safe as possible to compete. So that's really what we're focusing on. We know it can happen, but we're going to keep moving forward as long as we're given the opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Lil. Very well put on trying to do what we can do. And that's what you can control. Jody, you're in a unique situation along with Dwayne there, but you've got some schools in Travis County and some outside of Travis County. How do you handle that?
Well, this summer when we had information from Travis County where we had to shut down one strength and conditioning camp because it was in Travis, our district made the decision that we were going to do the same across the board. So when we had to shut them down, we shut down our camps that were in Williamson County as well. So that's how we had handled it during the summer when we had one decision for a school in one county and a different decision for schools in a different county. As of right now, I would say Leander is pretty much committed to staying open until we don't get to make that choice anymore. So right now we are trucking along. We're just like everybody else. We're seeing some cases rise, but everybody's keeping a watch on it. And we plan on staying open as long as we can.
Thank you, Jody. Jason, Georgetown.
Yeah, I would say, just chiming in there with Jody, I think our district is committed to staying open, as long as we can, for as much as we can, until somebody else tells us that we can't. My superintendent's great. He's on board with, trying to do every single thing we can to let kids have seasons and sports and coaches do their job. So, until somebody higher than that tells us that we can't, we're gonna work our tails off to make sure that happens.
Thank you, Jason. Paul, we're moving on up the interstate a little bit further north. How about y'all?
Sure, yeah, here in Bell County, and so, reiterate what everyone else has said, obviously trying to stay open as long as possible and do what we can to keep seasons going. The one unique piece here is we don't have the luxury of having different locker rooms necessary for different sports, and so a lot of our kids are together. So, for instance, we've got a baseball kid that tested positive, and through contact tracing just in locker room space, we had one football kid that ends up in that area of the locker room that is out for this week's game. And so I don't think it's necessarily the cases in the small school or Salado specifically. It's more the contact tracing and the quarantines that result of those cases is what's hurting us more than the actual cases themselves. But yeah, we're definitely committed to, making a run as long as we can, and kind of going back to what Todd had said, even if it's a situation where we've got to stream more and have less fans, well, we're all for that too. So just something to keep these kids playing and moving through their seasons as much as possible. So
Thank you, Paul.
You bet.
Andy, let's move east. Let's go out Highway 71 and see what y'all got going on. 290.
Just like everybody else, our goal is to stay open. For me, I'm just trying to get through Friday. Our regular season football ends Friday for us district wise. Middle school sports end this week, volleyball and football. So we can get through Friday, but we anticipate staying open. We don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. I mean, it's our superintendent's great. Also, he wants to be in the building, kids learning. But we even though we're not in Travis County, we butt up to it, and so we kind of follow along some of their lines for because it's just the way it is.
Thanks, Andy. What's happening over in College Station, over in Bryan and College Station area over there, Janice?
So our health department wants the school district to basically make the decisions that impact us. And so we're in close contact with them, but we are committed to staying open. And we've had some increases in a few of our sports here. And so the contact tracing and all that has made it a little bit more challenging. A few of the schools around us are beginning to go virtual only until after Thanksgiving. And so we've talked about it a little bit and have decided to stay open face-to-face as much as possible. I don't know about you guys, but we're facing some real issues with academics, and the kids, our varsity sports, those kids understand, and so not had as much problems, but our freshmen and sophomores and some of those, that's been a real issue for us is to work, and especially the virtual learners to get them to be able to pass their classes. So I'm interested in what you guys are doing in that aspect, and if you're facing those kind of issues as well.
Does anybody want to speak toward that? That's a great question there, Janice, on that. I know that we are seeing our failure rates up slightly from what they have been, especially through our younger population. Like you said, I do participation reports for all of our teams, and the failure rate that I'm seeing is a little greater, but it's not as much as I thought it was going to be. After our first report, after the first time came out, it seemed like our coaches have been able to get a hold of those kids. Some of them even have them in pods where they're able to work with them, and that helps a lot there. I don't know, anyone else want to talk toward the academic piece of it? I think we're all just trying to get it figured out. All right, let's go to our last question. Let's end on a positive note. I'd like to have something positive out there. So I want a success story of your team that any of your teams have experienced during this first semester, in spite of the tough times they've worked through to play the sports they love and enjoy. So I'm going to go first to Todd. Give me something here.
Well, we just finished up a 5 games in 5 days span for Hendrickson High School. They were the number one. They were the district leader in our volleyball. They got quarantined a couple weeks back. So we went and we were able to, the DEC was able to figure out how to get them they played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Monday. And so we're able to get through their schedule, get ready for the playoffs and stuff. And the big thing to me, the biggest positive that's come out of this is how willing DECs are to work with each other and work together to try to come up with answers. Both the DEC, I picked a bad year to be a DEC chair in 2 different districts, by the way, but both of my DECs are great about everybody trying to work together. We had an issue, Cedar Park football right now in our D1 district is quarantined, and yet everybody sat down. We figured out a way. We're going to the 5-day rule. They're going to, them and a couple other schools are going to play Wednesday before Thanksgiving, then Monday, then Saturday. So everybody's ability or desire to work together to get this stuff, to get through it has been awesome. It's been really great. And I've been really appreciative of all of our ADs and coaches around here that have been willing to do that.
It has been awesome. I will ditto all that because it's wonderful. The cohorts and all that we have, everybody knows what you're going through, and so they can sympathize, and it's been really good. Lil, why don't you give us a little bit of a success story?
Yeah, sure, Lynn. So really, the first one is just we're still playing and we're still going. That's a success for every single program that's out there. And as you guys know, a lot of times we have a few more restrictions here in Travis County than others, but that's the first number one success. We had some success with LBJ football team. They played in the playoffs there and had their first playoff win on Friday night down at Pleasanton. And so that's huge. That's the first playoff win in 6 years for LBJ. So Coach Fenner is doing a great job with his group. Just really proud of him. And they play again this upcoming Saturday down at Skeen. They play Alice. And so just the fact that you're able to, be healthy and make it into the playoffs and then to have that win. And that's the first time for him as a head coach that he's had a playoff win. So we're just proud of him. And so we're just, again, trying to keep everybody healthy and safe and trying to play as long as possible.
Thank you, Leo. Andy, you have any success stories for us?
Nothing individual, but just to echo what Leo said, I mean, between our volleyball and football, middle school and high school, we had 2 teams that had to quarantine in the last week or 2. The rest of them have played and finished their seasons, and our community's been supportive of being out there and watching them play. And so just be able to finish fall seasons and hope to continue playing the basketball and soccer and everything else that starts up.
Great. Congratulations there. Dwayne, we heard you had a state champion. Go ahead and elaborate.
Yeah, no, we were just, very fortunate to win the team tennis state championship yesterday. Coach Dalrymple and Westwood High School. And as just example, his slogan and that's exactly what our very proud of the performance they put yesterday. Plano was probably the toughest opponent they faced all year. Sorry?
You're breaking up just a little bit.
I said Plano West was, probably the toughest opponent.
Okay. We've lost you. We've lost you, Dwayne, but congratulations on a state tournament, on a state championship. If you come back here in a minute, we'll get you back on. Okay. And Janice.
All right. Thank you.
So I think one of the best successes is seeing the kids get to play their games. And I've seen more happy parents, because they're able to come and watch and they're very supportive. I think our biggest success was when the volleyball team went down and we missed 4 district games. The fact that they were able to rally back, and we played 4 games one week, we played 4 the other, and ended up in the playoffs. So consider that success. And then our football kids are ready. Both teams have a chance to make the playoffs. So everybody's excited, and we're taking it one game at a time, one day at a time, and all of that. But it's been rewarding, challenging, but really a fun year every game.
Thank you, Janice. Paul?
Yeah, so we're thankful to be playing, obviously, and 1A through 4A is a little bit ahead of where the 5 and 6s are in terms of where the seasons are. But it's the first time in 6 years that I've been here that we won. We only play 3 fall sports: got volleyball, football, cross country, and we won district championships in all of them with all groups. It's the first time it's ever happened here, so that's super positive. And what that's helped us do then is really preach to our families about the importance of this. Otherwise, none of this happens. And so that's been very helpful. And then the one other positive I got is we do a lot of work with Cody Stevens Foundation, have ever since I got here with getting our kids tested. We typically have about 50% of our athletes. We bring them out every 2 years to do that. And this year they tested a little bit over 100 kids, which was fantastic numbers. We had only one come back. We've had a girl in the past about 3 years ago that had to actually get heart surgery due to what they had found. And so had one student come back this year that needs a follow up. And so that's been, I count that as another positive in the sense that one, Cody Stevens Foundation is willing to come out and do it. But number two, we still have families that feel strong enough about it. And even during the time of a pandemic, allow that to occur on campus. So yeah, that was another positive that came out of this. So
that's awesome, Paul. Thank you for sharing with us.
You bet.
Jody, you have some positive experiences in Leander?
Yeah, I think we've got several teams, volleyball and football teams, that have qualified for the playoffs. You kind of sit back and hold your breath until those games actually get played, but they've qualified for now. But I think just the resiliency of the kids and the flexibility of the coaches and just the continual adaptation of what's being thrown at them, and for everybody to just keep coming back day after day, showing up for work and showing up for the kids and doing this job the best we know how. It's sometimes just a good reminder. You got to stop and think about that and how important that is, and how important it is for our coaches to show up every day for these kids, because they need them now more than ever. So just trying to stay positive through all of this madness.
Great job. Thanks, everyone. Did I miss anyone on that question? Did everybody have a chance? Dwayne, are you back up where you can say, we're going to say congratulations? Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just, again, very proud of Westwood. Also proud of their volleyball team, which was quarantined and now came back and like some others is also qualified for the state playoffs.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
I
want to thank the panel for the discussion. I hope that this interactive that we've been doing is helpful to y'all as well as the people that are listening in. And our next thing on our agenda, we're going to turn it over to Bob Jean, who is going to go over the state business for the association, and also if you'll give us a membership and any publication updates that you might have, Bob.
Very good. Thank you, Lynn. Y'all talked a little bit about the successes a moment ago, and I tell you, from a perspective that I have as a former AD and coach, watching the way you guys operate in our other regions around the state, you jumped off the emotional roller coaster of COVID-19 about 9 months ago. And what you've committed yourself to, from my observation, is just to be resolved, like Leal said, to control the things you can control, and the things you can't, you just deal with it. And then your focus is trying to get kids in a position to be able to play as many games and contests as they can. So kudos to you guys and ADs across the state. It's an incredible job. I really hope that, and I don't know how you do it because you're on 24/7, that you find a few minutes a day to kind of walk away from it, and kind of, whether it's a heavy bag you got hanging in the garage, or whether you drink an adult beverage, or you go play golf or go for a walk, whatever it is, make sure to take care of yourself. A couple of comments on membership. Incredibly, our membership across the state continues to grow. I don't know if Zoom has anything to do with that, because we're able to still connect a little bit. I know we really miss the in-person contact. Hopefully that will come about in the next few months at least. But your membership's growing. Related to membership and state conference, you can still join if they haven't joined. And you can still register for the state conference, which will be in December, all the way through the last day of the conference. And I'll just remind you that you're not able to watch the content of the conference unless you register. So please get that done if you haven't done that already, and spread the word. Publications, we've turned in all the articles in the newsletter, and that'll be made available to you guys. We're going to mail it out around the state conference time in December, so you'll get the benefit of receiving that. I want to pop up the state conference agenda real quick, and that way you can kind of see what it will look like. All right, so now I got to find it. Can you see that, or can you not?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. We're working on. There you go. So
yep, you're in.
Every day from 8:45 to 10 will be an actual live broadcast, began by Rusty, and then we'll have the UIL, we'll have Dr. Brydup, we'll have Susan, we'll have the Mike Morath, Commissioner of Education, and we'll also have our 4 officers on at different times, each of those 4 days of the conference, December 7th through the 10th. Then beginning at 11 o'clock, we will have some pre-recorded items, TAC classes, that'll be broadcast at 11, 1, and 3. And then at the end of that day, you'll be able to, all those things that we did that day will go into the library. So if you missed it during the day, you'll be able to watch those things whenever you get a minute to do so. So you can look in day 1, we'll have TAC 101, we'll have leadership during a crisis at 11, we'll have athletic facilities, and we'll have Quentin Rutledge, who's awesome, at 3 o'clock. And at the end of that day, all those things will go in the library, and then you can watch it for several weeks to come or months to come whenever you get time to do it. So I won't go through the entire thing, but at least you know that live is 8:45 to 10 o'clock every day. And then at 11, 1, and 3, we will have pre-recorded TAC classes that you can watch either at those times or after that day is over with, any other time over the next several months. All right, so we'll stop the share. And then let's see here. We did membership, we did publications. I think there are actually 15 TAC classes that you can take on the virtual conference. And a couple of questions I have for you guys. I know we don't want to end on a bad note, but what I'm hearing from a lot of folks around the state is that your districts are not allowing you to travel either with it as a team or as an individual, as an employee currently. Is that pretty much correct? You can just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if that's pretty much the way it is. So if we were having our conference live in Waco, you wouldn't be able to go. So what we're kind of planning is a secondary event, kind of a mini conference in early March. In the event we're able to gather. And that's where we're going to give some of our awards out. We'll have some more professional development classes for you guys to take. If that doesn't happen, then we'll scrap that, and we'll hope and pray for the June conference at the Kalahari in Round Rock. And if you haven't been by that place, a lot of you live around there. It's a pretty incredible place. That'll be the location of our state conference in June, and also the location for our spring sponsor showcase if we get to have it in March. That's really all that I have for you guys. Just thanks for all you do. I really appreciate it. Lynn, you do a great job leading your region. And panelists today, outstanding discussion. So my hat's off to you guys. Just keep up the good work, and don't forget to find time for yourself just to kind of get ready for that next day. All right. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you and Rusty for all that you do for our organization. Our organization, as you said, is continuing to grow. And with that growth also comes wisdom and knowledge, and it just makes us all better. So we appreciate the platform that you've given us to jump off of and into this sea of COVID out here and try to figure it out. So thank you again. Thank you to all the panelists. Have a great day. Best to all of you in your playoffs and the upcoming season for your sports that are just getting started. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.